So I'm on the BJJ Fanatics website, and I see 3 new videos by some guy named Thomas Radzinski. You familiar with that guy at all?
Nope, absolutely not.
No? Well, he's got some good stuff. Three brand new videos. They're getting amazing reviews, which is good to see as well. But you got to tell us about them real quick?
Yeah, I had, you guys already know, but I had opportunity to go to Boston, shoot 3 more instructionals, 1 on butterfly hook, complete guide for butterfly hook, 2 wrap, lapel, and submit them, and 3 we have taking the back. It's particularly designed for guys for over 40 because there's no climbing involved. All the back takes are on the ground. Very, very full and effective system. So dip into it. I'm really hoping that this is going to help your jiu-jitsu and really take it to the next level.
BJJfanatics.com. Just search ROZDZ. We have all had that situation where after class is when we want to ask a question. And Thomas, a lot of those questions you've already answered, right, at Ask a Black Belt.
Yeah, it's another podcast that I'm running. It's on podcast, all podcast platforms, plus on YouTube. You can find it anywhere. Just search for my name. Search for Ask a Black Belt. At this point, over 100 episodes, different questions, jiu-jitsu, life-related, but something that everybody comes across, and often these questions sink in our mind, but we don't ask for whatever reason. So if that benefits you, go there, listen. It actually might help your jiu-jitsu, might help your life as well. And if you have any questions, find me on Instagram and drop me a line. I'll be happy to answer your question and mention your name during the episode.
Welcome to Raw Radio.
Now I'm recording. You're freaking out over technology. Your monitor is going to look different than your laptop, which is going to look different coming from your camera, which looks different on my end. So you're freaking out because you look fuzzy, but it's also uploading. Settle down a little bit. Just relax.
Show me one again. How it's uploading?
Or maybe over there. I don't know where the satellite's at. Over there. Who knows?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you
the
guys.
building. I'll tell you.
If you are not watching this on YouTube, you need to
No.
put your podcast down right now and just get your YouTube app and search for this episode. It's 186 takeaway. You gotta see Gary pointing to satellites.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're
I wish they were watching a minute ago where you were like putting your hand in front of your camera. Oh, it's fuzzy. I look fuzzy. Of course you do. And it says right on your screen that the upload or the recording is better than what you're looking at. So just relax, man.
My God, my day is just starting.
We could have been done with this takeaway, but I spent the last 10 minutes here watching you go, I'm nervous. I'm worried.
Yes.
I'm a little worried about this. I'm nervous.
Well, at least one of us care.
I'm going to go home.
At least one of us care.
See, that's the thing. I have the Roadcaster here, which I know is recording, so my end is fine. I'm good to go. Don't worry about this.
Was this our first guest from Tough?
No, we had Cole Miller on.
Oh yeah, we had Cole.
You're right. Elliot
and Miguel.
No, Miguel wasn't on Tough.
He wasn't on
Miguel?
Tough. No, he was. I think he was coaching on Tough. He wasn't. Yeah, I don't know.
Torres.
Yeah.
He by the time Tough rolled around, he was already through wrecking everybody in the WEC.
We'll see.
But Elliot Marshall, Cole, Andy now. No, Watson.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, Watson. Yes, Watson. Absolutely,
half a dozen at least thereabouts.
Yeah. I mean, good points. Yeah, you kind of forget. I mean, nearly 200 people, right? So I kind of forget. Sometimes I underestimate the guests that we had. Yeah, no. What a great conversation with Andy.
It was a good one. China. Yeah, he's over in China.
Yeah, it was. It was interesting. Interesting to see.
Well, before we even started recording, it was like they're going to be listening. Like, wow, geez. So anytime
the story behind the scenes.
Yeah, anytime anybody's complaining,
there's certain things I cannot talk about because they are listening.
Yeah. And then it took for ever for his end to upload. So we're wondering if like it's being throttled, if they really are listening.
That's the interesting part, right? I mean, not to get into weeds of technology, what we do, but quality of the video was amazing from him.
Mhm.
But it freaking took hours to freaking upload this whole thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There was some kind of bottleneck.
Yeah, it was the government.
Intentional or unintentional?
Careful who you vote.
I guess so. Well, that's coming down the pipe.
Mhm.
We're not gonna get into political here because you're gonna get angry.
Oh,
I've seen you have political conversations.
whatever.
Whatever's right.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking? So what's your good? What's your takeaway from Andy's?
You know, Andy didn't think he was ever going to like fight MMA or anything like, close to that. He just wanted to learn jujitsu. But he had a training partner who went over to Japan, learned from some smaller fighters, right? Because back when Andy was doing it, it was, he thought it was all like a tough man competition.
Mhm.
And, the UFC didn't have lightweight divisions, blah, blah, blah. And, his training partner did something, set out and said, we're going to go to Japan. We're going to fight. And they did it, So Andy was talking about just showing up. Like when you say you're going to do something, show up and try, right? You don't have to do it, but you got to try because you said you were going to do it. So that was my biggest takeaway is I think a lot of people say things that they don't really mean or comprehend what it's going to take to get there, so they don't show up, they don't try. So maybe you should, this is kind of deviating a little bit, but maybe you should be a little more conscious of what you're putting out there when you open your mouth, because then you got to back it up, right? Or you don't. But he was saying if you say it, do it, and he was only 21 or something like that, 22. So
would you consider him as one of those guys all in, all out?
It's seemingly so, he got on a plane, went to Japan, fought in Shudo. So it's kind of all in. A lot of, it's funny. His story and when he was talking, reminded me of the people that come through the door at academies and they're like, I want to be a fighter. I have no clue what that means, because they watch fights or they fight other sports. They have no idea what that means. None. And I was young once and thought I was, I said the same thing when I was 18, 19, and I thought I had some.
What did you want to be?
Skills. Well, everybody's like, at that time it was like, you could get an amateur fight,
but no,
at every other church on the weekend,
I meant, what did you want to be when you were younger? Like, what was your desire?
For like a career, I really didn't have one. I was kind of all over the place.
You still are, but it's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll be something when I grow up. But
time will tell.
But getting back to like I said, people, or I want to go to the, how many? It's ridiculous. Kids, parents that think their kid's going to play in the NFL. The unrealistic expectations or the lack of knowledge of what it takes to do something like that. So when you say it, show up, put in the work, see if it's really what you want. But for me, it's kind of funny because now I'm looking at it from the angle of maybe doing a little investigating before you say it, because being a fighter takes a lot more than just being tough, right? Being able to take a punch or whatever. That definitely does not make you a fighter, because there's a lot of tough guys out there that never amounted to anything.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that this approach, all in, all out, versus today, let me think about it, maybe, I don't know, sources from the fact that before, and I'm talking about 20 years ago, right, when we were much younger, or even just earlier, just whenever, the only way to find out whether you could or could not do something was to do it. Versus today, we have this preconceived idea because we see everything on social media. I mean, you know what it takes to be a fighter because they're freaking reality shows and all the other things. So you have an idea. Whether it's true or not is different.
Mhm.
But you have this perception that's being created. You know, you know what it takes to be a doctor because you watch a doctor show whatever on TV, and now you have medical expertise. You can self-diagnose in a split second, right? Like, because that's what we do. I guess, jokes aside, today we have exposure of what in and outs of some of those professions are, or some of those projects are. In the past, none of that existed. So you essentially had to try it in order for you to know whether that was feasible or you could be successful.
I don't know. I think maybe having what we have today gives people the false confidence to think they can do things.
Or it shows them how difficult it is and they don't even try.
Yeah, I mean, why do people not try? There's a million different reasons, but I think that it gives you a false, like a reality show about becoming an ultimate, into the UFC. Is a lot of it is BS. It's a reality show, and it's changed over the years incredibly from the first couple seasons. You get into a couple, you're 19, 20, you get into a couple scrapes, you think you can handle yourself, you're physically fit. That's great. That's awesome. Now, are you going to show up at 5 a.m. every day? Because guess what? There's somebody else is. And that's what it takes to be a fighter, is to do all that other stuff than just be a tough guy. A tough guy, you're never going to make it as a professional fighter if you're just tough. You got to put in the work. That's great. You're going to learn quickly that you don't want to take a punch or be able to take a punch. And then you're going to have to learn quickly that, road work is involved. Diet is involved. Different types of cross training is involved. What lifting is involved. Every day for months at a time. Yeah, it's not like the old days. I'm old enough to remember when, like, Roberto Duran could look like a sack of potatoes 6 months out of the year and then show up and wreck somebody. Those days are gone, pretty much. I think for almost everybody. So
I wasn't even talking about the fighting per se, but it's just general in life. But I mean, you bring up good points, right? Like,
to do anything, you have to. There's always more involved than you think. There's always, behind the scenes, whether you want to be anything. You talked about being a doctor. People don't realize that, you're not going to sleep for days and days.
Oh yeah,
right? And still
those,
have to
those
perform.
guys freaking grind. Jesus,
I mean, when you're doing your rotations, man, you're up. You're lucky if you can find a cot somewhere to crash out for a couple hours.
But that's my point. I guess that's what I was trying to say. That 20, 30 years ago, and we should ask. We get a couple doctors here, and people in medical field. Like, I feel like 20, 30 years ago, because there was this element of unknown, people were more likely to actually try it. Versus today, everybody knows it sucks to go to medical school. Everybody knows that it sucks to go to, law school. So I feel like there's this notion of, well, I'm not even going to try because I can be YouTuber.
Oh, well, that, there's definitely more, I don't want to say opportunities. That's not the right word, but there's definitely more. Maybe
easier ways.
Well, I think it might be a distraction too, because guess what? And we haven't talked about this in a long, long time, but I think we've touched on it in the past. Why is Kim Kardashian famous? She doesn't do a shit. Bullshit. She works her ass off.
I know, right?
And
yeah.
Now she might not have a specific skill set that find admirable.
She has a skill set, but yeah, right. Yeah. Right.
And she's up, she's working. Yeah. She's that life, she's putting the work in, man. And so even that, I think people get a false sense of what it is, and then oh no, it's hard, right? And I'm going to quit. I didn't know I had to get up every day and do it. I didn't know. People have a false sense that they're important, that they're cute, that they're funny, that they're entertaining, that if they just put a camera on them, somebody's going to watch them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily so. So
it's interesting you bring that up, because I actually recently, on a similar note, on a similar note recently, I was reading about Taylor Swift, and don't ask me why. Like, this is not my cup of tea.
Because you're a Swiftie?
I'm not a Swiftie. This is not my cup of tea. However, I can't stop myself from admiring the amount of work ethic that woman has. It is mind-blowing, to amount of work that she personally puts into what she does.
Yeah.
And you're talking about generating billions of, you're talking about stimulating economies,
right,
in different countries by just the visit of her making one concert. And the amount of dollars that gets transferred, because, and this is none of this, somebody did the work for, like, the article was talking about how much work her personally she's involved. And it's ridiculous. I mean, it is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, I mean, and
a lot of people think that she just gets on stage and sings.
Right, it's 2 hours a night.
Right, 2 hours a night, and she makes $100 million.
Right. Yeah. It's 2 hours a night, and she makes hell of a lot of money. But there's all the photo stuff that goes along with it, all the interviews.
They have rehearsals,
the planning, the meetings, and of course she's got a team, but so what? She's got to be there, involved in all of that too. You want to be a rock star. Everybody says it's easy now because you can, you have Instagram and TikTok, and it might be easy for some people, but where's the longevity in that type of stuff?
I think it's different. It's not easy. It's different. I think the way how things were done before, and the same thing is in jiu-jitsu, the way how things were done 20 or 10 years ago, it's very different to what it's today. I don't necessarily think it's easier today. I think some of the quote unquote opportunities that we have make things complicated and make it harder, and it's just a different beast.
Yeah, I always think of that type of stuff as distractions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Distracted.
Yeah, that's like we talk about jiu-jitsu, right? Like 20 years ago when I was starting, there was no videos, there was no YouTube, there was barely any books. There was grappling magazine, and that was it. And like today, you have access to anything, any instructor you want in the world at your fingertips. Right. Some of it's even for free with a phenomenal content. If not, you can pay a couple dollars and you can have it. But I know before we were hyper-focused. 20 years ago, we were hyper-focused on what we wanted. We knew what we wanted. Today, I feel like there is a huge point of distraction behind all this.
You know what? This isn't working. I'm going to work on this.
Exactly.
People are always changing their game.
Yeah.
So, maybe what was this supposed to be? Just show up? Maybe it should
show up.
Yeah, I think it should be Distractions, the title of this. But, it's definitely easier to find the knowledge, but I think it's a lot harder to concentrate. Yeah. There's too many distractions.
I agree.
All right.
Let's focus. Let's finish this.
Okay.
Later.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to Raw Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.